That's a battle for position. That's for the lead. They've run down long finally. They have finally caught him up, and this allows the 48 to finally get into it, and he is going to take the advantage of the chance. He is going to get by Acosta. Is he also going to be able to get by the lead? It looks like he might be able to get two positions as one. He gets a hello from the 5 behind. No wreck, though, just a little bit of contact. The bumping and rubbing might actually shove Octavio Rondaletto back to the lead for the first time in some time, and indeed, Octavio to the point. Big wreck, and Marty and more cars. It looks like John Keefe is in there, and Gabbiani is carrying him. Literally carrying him.
Car 19's got a new hat. I wouldn't expect to be a Marlboro branded hat, but there you go. Unfortunately, John Keefe having to be a passenger all the way, literally, through that entire incident. That is worthy of a replay right there.
He got himself a cowboy hat. Bradley Hawley not defending. He's going to leave the door open. Michael Michaud is going to try and take it. He sends it in deep. Will they make contact, or are they going to keep it clean? They're going to keep just enough space between them. And for the second lap in a row, Hawley is able to hold his nose ahead.
Able to hold his nose ahead, and he knows that the advantage is now going to switch back to him through Rauch. That is Michaud trying to carry that momentum around the high side. Isn't able to do so. Dives back in the line, looking for a little bit of a crossover there. Starts to get his nose down to the inside into Wirth. He's going to go for the maneuver. Hawley able to hold it out, but he may run wide here at the exit. Will that give an advantage back? No, but it will give it back to Boucher, who's now able to make the move on Michaud. A little bit of a look there from Parson, and that's just him trying to poke his nose, see if he can get any sort of a head fake, and he got one.
He goes a little bit wide, sent it in deep. He's got the inside into the second corner, though, is Partonen could be able to complete the pass. He tries to pinch him down, but gives him a fair bit of space. The battle continues down into turn 3. He's on the inside. They're going to bang wheels. They come together. He knocks him back straight, but Partonen is now your leader. Here comes Glover up the inside, down through the final turn and onto the front stretch, almost pushing him off the track. He has to slow up. We're going to go 3 wide as to the inside of both of them. Bergstrom says, thank you very much. I am going to snatch up P7 with that.
Oh, here comes Nicholson. He's going to look around the outside, going through that first sector. Has to look for the crossover now. He's going to go down to the inside.
It continues into turn 3. They go wheel to wheel. Track switches back. He's actually got a nose ahead, but just no grip on the marbles. Almost goes out into the grass, but he's holding on just barely. Kayla went missing, Seppa went hunting, but Partonen went off to win. His first victory of the season couldn't have come at a better time. Those three have now come within 7 points of one another. This Finnish rivalry may yet have more twists and turns in the story as we get ready to watch round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Today, our drivers take to Interlagos down in Brazil. Let's head to our track guide to see what this fan favorite is all about. Welcome to Autodromo's Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its two layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Juchao, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo.
Well, there you have it, a look at the history and some of the details of Interlagos. But as we take a look at how these Lotus 79s are going to handle around here, it is going to be a match made in heaven. Look for the 2 best overtaking opportunities being going down into the Senna S at the end of that long front straightaway, as well as going into the Descida do Lago at the end of the Retroposta. There's not going to be a whole lot of passing in that sort of infamous tight and twisty middle sector, although as we get a little bit further into the race, watch out for accidents to be made there. As we've talked about many a time, the fuel will burn off in these Lotus 79s. They'll get lighter, they'll get twitchier, and they'll get looser, and so we could see a off or 2 through that section. Most crucial corner of all, though, that is going to be the junction. You got to make sure you nail that. And in these Lotus 79s, you can carry some pretty good speed through there via the ground effects. And so watch for them to hit that right and get a good run onto the main straightaway. But that is the details of the track. What about the details of the championship that we are in? First up, it's the driver's standings, and it's pretty close up at the top with the 3 major players in this season, Marco Kayla, Severi Seppa, and Paulie Partonen, separated only by 7 points right there. You can see Seppa in the middle there, only 2 points back. Timothy Reed, bit of an island on to himself there, sitting back in 34 points back of our leader, and Juan Costa sitting back a big ways in 74 points back. But we also have a teams championship here in the Lotus 79 series, and in that, Equip Renault Team Elf, well, they're still holding on to that lead by 15 points now. That lead has started to grow week in and week out. 15 points over March Grand Prix team, with Fittipaldi Automotive about the same distance back from March Grand Prix team. Essex John Player Team Lotus is back in 4th, 30 points back of Fittipaldi Automotive, and Tyrrell Racing Team only 8 points back from them. So a pretty decent battle starting to go through there. Now, for anybody who is unfamiliar with the session, this is the 8th of 12 rounds. 33 laps out there today. It will be a standing start, open setup. There is no spare car, so if you bin it, you are out. You get a drive-through penalty at 17 points, and you get disqualified at 25. Joe?
Indeed, and well, this track seems to have elicited mixed feelings from our drivers as we asked them about last week heading off to this, and you can see they have just started the qualifying with a few drivers managing to get onto the board. Juan Costa with the provisional pole. We're watching Marco Kayla, who has returned. Him missing last week will get swallowed up by some of the drop weeks, but even still, he's taken away a little bit of his safety net here, DJ, so he's put himself under the gun.
He most certainly has, and right now looking at those times as they come in, waiting for Kayla to set that final time as he works his way out of the junction right now. It is Juan Costa up on the top, Christophe Dubois in second, Parton in third. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. Let's watch Kayla here. You want to minimize any movements on the wheel as you fly through here, just maximizing that top-end speed. Kayla's going to come to the line.
And as he crosses, he takes that provisional pole away by about 0.3 of a second. So Costa, who looks a little slow there, doesn't seem like he is going to be able to respond, because that seemed like an error to me. We instead look at Dubois to see if their third-place driver can potentially do something, and no, he can't either, as now we check on Partonen, and he goes up to fourth with that second lap, but that is certainly not, no, second place, excuse me. So he's not able to topple Kayla, but he gets close.
Does indeed. Loic Barba was able to punch his way up into 12th there. Riding on board right now is Severi Seppa as he continues, as he goes through his second lap. Severi here driving that car down into Perejeño. This is that very, very twisty, excuse me, Pico de Pato, very twisty section through there that's very difficult in these Lotus 79s. They don't really like super low speed corners all that much, so there's not really enough air flowing under or over the car to push it down into the track.
Severi Seppa on a bit of an off week last time out, so let's see what the number 4 has underneath him. Second lap across the line, it is a 23.3. That's mildly better, but he still gets bumped downwards because Timothy Reed just crossed and goes into third.
Well, goodness gracious, Timothy Reed putting in a great time. One of the better runs that I've seen out of him in a good long while. Jukka Tolvanen here right now is currently in 9th place. He'll have another lap to put in under his belt. And with lap times only at about 1 minute and 23, 24 seconds, there's going to be plenty of time for these drivers to finish their final laps.
Yeah, Barry West still on his second. Tolvanen out there as well. In fact, those are the only two, it looks like, who can complete this second lap at this stage. We are in the top split, so this is the cream of the crop here racing. 24 drivers out of 48 total signed up here for the Sunday Grand Prix series. And it looks like West is not happy with his lap as he parks it. So Tolvanen now, who is in the infield, is rushing to try and finish this one up. He currently sits in 9th, and he's got about 400ths to make up to overtake the multi-time champion Gernot Frische, who was only able to qualify 8th.
Indeed, a little bit of a surprise there to see Frische so far down the field. Tolvanen, though, looks like he's been pretty smooth and collected on this time out. That orange number 5 machine now making its way down there. Rest assured, we will be confused about somebody jumping into the pits at some point during the course of the race. Able to go here a couple of tenths faster, but that'll only gain him 1 position to get above Gernot.
Yep, that'll put him on that outside of the 4th row, but our grid is set. So let's go through that starting order. It is Marco Kayla who is back up top once again to try and keep himself ahead in this close-fought championship. Partonen, who is coming off of a win, his first of the season, is going to try and challenge him, but he's about 2 tenths behind in 1 lap pace. It's Timothy Reed starting from 3rd with Ove Trangrade, a great qualifying time for him, up to 4th. Juan Costa only good enough for 5th today. Christophe Dubois eventually gets shoved down to 6th with Severi Seppa. Again, not looking as strong as he was earlier in the season, only starting 7th today with Jukka Tolvanen and his fellow Finn to his outside. Gernot Frische will start from 9th, and Eetu Vaniokangas will start from 10th.
Benoit Daisy will be rolling off in 11th, followed by Peter Kozaneski with Karthik Pai in 13th and Loic Barba in 14th. Will Schwaber will be in 15th, followed by Pablo Suarez with Daniel Banker in 17th and Shane Seawarts in 18th. Row 10 in the final of your top 20 will be Javier Mosquera and Jean-Francois Boscas.
Daniel Gallus qualified 21st with Barry West's lone lap, good enough for P22. Keith Herner starts 23rd today, and Joe Walker will be tail-end Charlie on the field as they now start to grid up for this standing start today. And the temperatures are actually very, very hot today. 129, 130 now Fahrenheit with 54 Celsius. That infield portion is going to be diabolical out there.
Yeah, it really is, Joe, and these drivers are going to be very, very thankful that they are not running in modern Formula One cars, as the rubber would absolutely be melting off. Thankfully, these tires will withstand it, but they've got to be very worried about getting down into first gear and potentially spinning those rear tires.
Can Partanen back up his good performance now that Marco is here to actually try and challenge him? Marco Kayla has found himself with 2 wins so far this season. Partanen on 1, Seppa also on 2 wins out of our 7 rounds run so far. So they are pretty evenly matched in performance now that Partanen has joined the fray. Of course, he'd love to tie those wins on them. And let's see if he can do it out here in Brazil, as I think they're still waiting on our pole sitter along with Tolanen to get out there. Looks like Kayla is now there. So Tolanen the last one, and he's got about 30 seconds to put himself on the grid. So they do have time, and it looks like he's out there now. Nope, spoke too soon. Now he has popped himself onto the starting grid. The engines will start to rev as the lights come up. And the green flag is out. Marco Kayla did not get off the line very well. Partanen already up to his inside as they come up to the Senna S. Can he make this overtake? This could be critical here in this race, as well as the championship is behind them. 3 wide, almost banging wheels, and it looks like Partanen is going to get the lead.
He is indeed. It looked like Timothy Reed had a little bit of contact there in the back. That Lotus thrown up into the air, but he's able to keep everything pulling forward. Now as they look ahead, oh my goodness, that's Kayla and Partanen getting very aggressive as they go down the Retro Pasta. They're going to be single file, thankfully, as they go down into the seat of Interlagos, trying to avoid any carnage from behind.
Kayla really wants that spot back. He knows it's going to be tough to try and take that back. And behind them, Dubois still watching patiently as we hop on board. Kayla coming now into 8.
Indeed, rolling those cars down and down into Piriheno. This is that slow speed section of the track. Drivers have got to be careful here. The tires, even though it is that incredibly hot, 130 degrees. Oh, almost a move there and back, as it looked like Timothy Reed was trying to make a move coming around in the back. Or excuse me, that was Coaster trying to make a move on Dubois, but nothing doing.
Getting ready to complete the first lap already. Partanen about 0.4 of a second ahead of Kayla, but they're starting to drop Dubois now. About 1.1 back to the number 18 car. And then Juan Costa is stalking him from 4th place as they start to pick up speed. How powerful is the draft on this front stretch? We hop on board with Tolanen as well. He sees a few cars ahead kind of poking their noses out, but nobody changing position amongst them, though Timothy Reed does try and get this one back as he had quite a moment, and it looks like Juan Costa is the one to make a mistake. Coming through the curve to Sol, just a little bit too wide. He's going to lose out to both Seppa and Reed.
And that honestly just looked like an unforced error there out of Juan Costa, just cutting down too far onto that inside grass. Ooh, now it looks like behind him that is going to be Yuka Tolanen trying to take a look there in that orange machine. Tolanen's going to poke his nose to the inside as they climb the hill. Going to have to back out of it a little bit. We ride on board the nose of E2.
Now, it looks like Costa was able to hold him behind through the horseshoe. And now as they go back through Pinerino and now down into the duck spill. Anybody daring enough to try it into this hairpin? Not early in the race, it looks like, as everybody stays in line. It's possible, but the moves are risky into there. Maybe setting up DJ for the run out of the junction, up the ever-critical straight past Subidos dos Boxes.
Exactly. We keep our eyes here focused on Timothy Reed as they come around, working that. Now running on board with Juan Costa. He is about 2.3 of a second back. Not looking like that pole is quite strong enough. Marco Kayla setting the fast lap the race there in second. Remember, Joe, when we talked to some of the winners out of last week, they were saying that we could see some drivers just absolutely trimming out the cars and trying to maximize the straight line speed, and as a result, suffering a lot through the middle.
But they also pointed out it's hard to pass in that middle portion of the lap. And you could just defend like the Dickens to try and keep your rivals behind. Is that what we're seeing maybe with Partonen? Able to keep himself ahead just enough that Marco Kayla can't say much about it. Let's see who looks stronger here as they start to wind back and forth.
Yeah, working their way this way and that. Kayla's doing a really good job to keep up behind your leader and not let him out of his sights. Paulie Partonen, for his turn, doing a good job to just keep him at bay through this twisting section. Gets a good run there out of it and then comes back in again. Let's see what the run is through the junction.
Well, Marco Kayla looked decent at the first part of the corner, but it seemed like on the second phase, the car just did not want to get going, and he drops back a little too far. Instead, we look at Timothy Reed vying for third place. And will the final step on the podium go to him, or will Dubois be able to successfully defend? The 18 starts to fall back, but he's good under braking, but not good enough, as I think this one is going to go to Reed.
Good, solid move there for Timothy to be able to move himself forward. We now jump on board with Tolanen, who's trying to eye up Juan Costa ahead. Great run through the Senna S. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. Action in front as well as they're thinking about going side by side. Tolanen now is going to hold that car down low, tries to get it, but momentum favors Costa.
Great defense there, just pinched him down enough that Tolanen didn't feel like he had the grip. And he stays behind, but this is becoming quite a train, starting up with Timothy Reed being followed all the way down to Trangrade in 10th position.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Throw a sheet over these drivers, Joe. They're very, very close. I think we may have had a little bit of an incident in the back with Barry West and Boskus, but we'll have to check on that in a minute.
I think that was Daisy, unfortunately, that got into him. Yeah, the Boskus. Unfortunately getting tipped around, and Barry West had to take avoidance maneuvers as we hop on board with Ove Trangrade now at the tail of the train. He's got 9 cars essentially breaking the wind for him, and let's see if that's going to be enough to try and pull up enough to attack. So far, a little bit of a look to the inside from Dubois at the front, but nothing doing for the most part. Oh, another one from Tolanen though.
We've got a pass for the lead, Joe. Marco Kayla able to hold off Paulie Partonen there a little bit, just holding it back the best that he could. But they were side by side coming through the Senna S. They're going to get very aggressive going down now into the Interlagos. Partonen sending it deep.
Kayla got by on the front stretch with a good slipstream, and now he's finding that his fellow countryman is fighting back up into the horseshoe. Marco Kayla not able to try and get by there. So we're already starting to swap back and forth. Kayla's figured out how to get close enough to try and attack, or was this a mistake that we missed out of the number 6? Is he struggling?
I'm not sure the answer to that, but I can tell you these two drivers do look very, very evenly matched as they now work their way down through those final corners, all down to the very crucial junction. A little bit of a tighter entry into the corner there from Marco Kayla, but I think that allows for Partonen to carry a little bit more speed on exit.
Not sure he's close enough this time as we head back to Costa once again. And this whole crew is going to erupt once more as they come down to the braking for the Senna S. But I think only Tolanen is the one who's got a shot at things, and he decides to back out of it. Now, I think we're going to try and get the start of the race here on replay, and I think one of the drivers we want to look at is Dubois. I know Costa was involved in it. It looks like Timothy Reed as well. All 3 making a little bit of contact, and I think Reed even got 2 wheels in the air because of this. Here we go.
He did indeed, Joe. I was actually watching this one live, so watch Reed on the outside there, that white machine, just a little bit of contact, up into the air. He's able to keep everything going. The only thing that I would be concerned about there if I was Timothy Reed, I don't think there's going to be any suspension damage there to that Lotus, but some of that under tray damage that we always like to talk about. If he's had some damage to the undercarriage of that car, it could affect him under high-speed corners.
So we come back live. Kayla still about a quarter of a second behind Partonen. What kind of exit is he going to get here? I'll be honest, that opening incident there, DJ, I was worried it was going to collect the entire field behind them with how tightly everybody was packed. But thankfully, it was just the tiniest of touches that everybody got away with. And this might result in a touch as well, as Kayla's got a fantastic run and is looking at the outside.
Ooh, but Partonen there decided... Sorry, Joe, had to sneeze there. Partonen had to go defensive, able to hold that out and able to keep Kayla at bay. So Kayla not able to attack here quite yet.
Oof, man, he is threatening, though. Dubois, in the meantime, has dropped off of Timothy Reed. He is now well ahead, about 1.3 seconds, and he's got an angry group of drivers really liking to try and get ahead of this number 18 and start to chase down that third-place driver. Here comes Tolvanen on Costa. Man, we've seen this a bunch of times so far, that the Finn likes to stick his nose in, but he hasn't made an actual move in a bit. Oh, what a spin! Dubois is off. That sends Seppa having to avoid. He loses 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 positions. No, he is going to fall back to 7th, but boy, that put him in a bad spot.
It certainly did. Lucky he didn't collect any more drivers on that as they now work their way around. Let's check out that replay. Bringing it into the corner. Did he just carry a little bit too much speed in? What exactly happened here?
Yeah.
Yep. Too much speed into the corner.
Car just started to go on him, and the rears did not want to grip. We're going to watch one more angle from poor Severi Seppa. I'm sure he's glad that he wasn't collected in the wreck, but even still, those were valuable positions lost in all of that, as he has to go wide, very wide. Whew. Thankfully, there's a paved runoff on the outside for him. And then you can see the battle continues a little bit with Freesia trying to overtake him, but he was able to fend him off. We come back to second place once more. Kayla still unable to retake the lead spot from Partonen.
Yeah, still unable to do it, but still applying a decent amount of pressure to Partonen. Oh, more side-by-side in the back there, Joe, as that is Tolvanen and Costa. Tolvanen and Costa side-by-side trying to make it work. Tolvanen trying to bite down on that low line, but Costa just carrying that momentum beautifully. Almost looked like a little bit of a cutback there for Jukka Tolvanen. He was thinking about going for the over-under, but not able to make it work.
Well, finally, he's getting serious about this one, trying to see if he can make some moves as we watch from Freesia back there, coming up through Mergulo into the junction. Here is where Tolvanen really needs to get that exit, and in the past, Jukka has liked to trim the car out. Is he going to be quicker in a straight line here? Already 140 miles an hour, and it does look like he's got a lot more speed than Wanmi.
He does indeed. Look at that orange Lotus just closing in. He's going to dive to what will be the outside when they go down through the Senna S. Let's see if he's able to make this work. Wanmi a little bit later on the brakes cuts him off completely. Great defense from Wanmi Costa.
I have to say I'm impressed. I thought the 9, after he started losing spots at the beginning, he was going to get gobbled up by a lot more cars, but he's fighting tooth and nail on this one as we come back to Pauli Partonen. Still not close enough to be attacked. As we come back on board with Kayla, watching forward at that gearbox. Just tantalizingly close, but even though he's managed to overtake a few times, it seems like the fellow Finn has become wise to his moves. This time, Costa far enough ahead from Tolvanen down into the infield section. In fact, starting to pull away by a few car lengths.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened there, if that was an error out of Jukka Tolvanen or what, but we now ride on board. Right on board with Vetsu there as he almost loses the car coming around the Pico de Pato.
And looks like drivers already feeling the effects of the hot temperatures around here in that infield portion. Ove Trangrade not able to make up many spots since he started. In fact, actually, no, he started 4th. So Ove Trangrade is down very many spots from where he started. So coming back to Partonen, looking at that number 2 machine, starting to look a little bit stuck, these two. As for a while, Kayla was getting on top of it and making attacks, but I don't think we've seen a pass attempt at least for the last 5 laps.
We really haven't. Jumping back here to right on board with Tolanen as another one of those battles where he seems a little bit stuck behind Juan Costa. And Joe, I think the reason for that sort of stuck factor, let us call it, may be one of two things. One, it may just be some of the differences in aerodynamic setup that these drivers have decided to put into the cars. Partanen and Costa respectively may be a little bit more trimmed out, able to go faster in a straight line, able to defend better through this middle sector. The other part of it may be is these tires are getting pretty hot around here. Track temperature still upwards of 128 degrees Fahrenheit, and so the tires may just be overheating ever so slightly, and drivers like Tolanen and Kayla are just backing off a little bit, not being as aggressive, cooling the tires down for a couple of laps before they launch another assault.
Back with Freesia once again. We've only had one DNF so far. Peter Konecki, unfortunately, is out of this race, and that looks much closer this time. Kayla just about putting his nose up to the rear of Pauli Partanen down through the Senna S. He's going to have a good run down the Retta Aposta. He's going to show his nose, but Partanen defends, and then both of them quickly back to the racing line.
Yeah, they don't want to lose too much time there squabbling. They do have about a 0.4 of a second advantage over Timothy Reed, who's in an island unto himself as of right now, but nonetheless, they do not want to risk locking wheels.
Well, the Moulin Rouge car of Costa is still about, 2 seconds behind Timothy Reed, so he continues to drop away. So we watch from his gearbox, looking at Jukka Tolanen, as he finally got this one underneath him. Tolanen starting to pull away as well from Vanio Congas just behind him. This was quite a train for some laps, and it seems like it is finally spreading apart as long as the slipstream doesn't reel them back in. Let's see as they come past the water tower now.
Yeah, working their way past it. It looks like they're a little bit spaced out, but we have seen that number 9 of Costa have some good closing speed as they come down into it. Here they go. Let's see what they've got.
Not seeing anybody poke their nose out. Plunging downhill through the Senna S once again. Juan Costa is unfortunately a little bit closer to Tolanen. Does Tolanen have a good shot here? He's closing in, he's closing in. He's going to show his nose, but then he decides against it.
Yeah, seen a lot out of these drivers here today on that, just pulling it in and backing it off and pulling it in and backing it off, being a little bit careful. Ooh, but that's a good run there. Is that going to make any hay there for Jukka Tolanen on Juan Costa? Not going to go for it again. It's just not enough straightaway, it looks like, for some of these drivers to get that move done that they want to.
Also got more battles throughout. It's not just this long train here for second, because Karthik Pai has been having to play heavy defense against Suarez and Loic Barba. They were actually side by side down the Retta Aposta, but didn't change positions. Coming down into the duck spill, let's see if any of them will be able to switch around here.
Well, let's keep an eye in D. We've seen these guys have some good scraps over the time. Pai there holding off Suarez. This is going to be that crucial junction corner. Suarez backing up the corner a little bit. That's going to allow for Loic Barber to catch up a little bit, but let's see who's got more speed as they get going. I think Karthik Pai able to get the best run out of the 3 of them. He's going to be able to hold them at bay, jumping on board with Costa as he's side by side with Tolanen again.
Yeah, Tolanen finally got himself a good enough run. He could manage to get wheel to wheel, but look at that car wiggle through the curve de Sol. He's going to have another run. Is this enough to try and finally get this done into the Descida del Lago? He outbrakes him. He has the inside, but he can't feed it out because there's a car there, and Costa does it again, denying him, but fighting back. Here comes Tolanen, going to be on the outside, coming into the horseshoe. It's hard to try and make it stick the long way around to this one, but he's going to do it anyways. Another right-hander leading into this one. It's just the never-ending side-by-side battle, but he gets a shove from behind as he falls back. A2 finding himself getting held up by Tolanen.
Wow, talk about sticking it on out there for Jukka Tolvanen, doing a great job of just trying everything that he can. Etu here behind, holding it out well as well. Everybody back into line. I've got to think that Tolvanen is just simmering underneath that helmet. He wants this position from Juan Costa.
I have to say, Vanya Conga's looking very Braun GP there with his helmet. So here we go. Marco Kayla down to the inside, but no, back to the outside as the defense from Partanen shuts the door. Into the Senna S they go, and out of the Curva del Sol. Doesn't seem like Marco has the exit that he needs. He drops back a couple car lengths.
Drops back a couple of car lengths. I don't think he's going to be able to get anything going down into there. Ooh, that was a bit of a wiggle there, under braking from Marco Kayla. Now jumping on board with that too. Is he going to have a run at Jukka Tolvanen? Things changing up. Not able to go for it there.
Still stuck in that line of cars. Yeah, of the three battles we've been watching, none of them have changed positions, despite all of them kicking off pretty much at the same time here. Down into the infield portion once more. Tolvanen at times is able to get to the back of Costa, but I think maybe he's dropped a bit now. We come on board with Ove Trangrade sitting behind the multi-time champion Gernot Friesche down into the Ducksbill.
Indeed, there they go. Ove took a little bit of an alternate line there, working its way around. Nothing to do there. All right, let's see what this run out of the junction is for this train of cars. There they go. It looks like our leaders are a little bit spaced out there, but I think Friesche, Trangrade, and Seppa may be a little bit closer here as they get up to speed.
Friesche's looking good. Seppa isn't defending quite yet, but Friesche could surprise him. Does he? Yes, he pokes his nose, but he's not able to outbrake him.
Not able to do it. The anticipation here on these drivers and the patience out of all of them, absolutely just palpable here. Riding back on board with Marco Kayla as he continues to try to hunt down Pauly Partanen for that lead. Remember, a couple of laps ago, he was able to get ahead for about a corner and a half before Partanen was able to snatch that lead back from him. There they come back up, down into the twisty bits. It's going to be a minute here for Kayla if he can get in a move.
Now this time warp of the series has put on a good show today. I love these vintage cars out here, and Kayla down into the Ducksbill gets almost up to him as we come back to Gernot Friesche, and he has put the pressure on to Severi Seppa, who gets a much better exit coming out of Pinarino down to the Ducksbill. Everybody staying single file.
Everybody staying single file, working their way around, holding it out there. You can see there just what Jukka Tolvanen was doing, bringing that car a little bit wider, coming to try to get as much speed as he could through the junction.
Oh, we got to go back to Marco Kayla. He's going around the outside this time as Partanen looks like he may have had a bad exit, and this might be the wrong call as well. Down to the inside of the next corner, and the fight carries on. Now through the Curva del Sol. Marco Kayla on the long way around starts to fall back, but oh, look at that, covering off the inside immediately, sweeping off to the left-hand side. It seems that Partanen is up against the ropes. Does he send it in too deep here? Cut back from Kayla. No! Kayla spins it!
Oh no! Heartbreak there for Marco Kayla as he just, I think, carried a little bit too much speed going into that narrow line. Let's go back and check out the replay here, Joe. You can see the little bit of the twitch out of that number 2 machine as they came out of the Curva del Sol. Starts to go to the inside. Partanen blocks him off. Who goes to the outside. It's this crossover that he gets into. I don't know if this was a matter of the rear brakes locking up. Catches a little bit of the curb. Just too much speed at too tight of an angle. Good job to catch the car for Kayla, but he is going to find himself all the way back off of your leader, Pauly Partanen, and he may have a little bit of company here in the second. Timothy Reed's only about a second and a half behind him.
But the good news is he was outpacing Reed earlier on, and I don't think Timothy is close enough to try and pull the draft as we come back to the fight between Costa and Tolvanen once more. I'm impressed with Partanen standing up to the fight and being able to make the other driver buckle instead of himself. As down to the inside, will we finally get Costa as well, crumbling beneath the pressure? He's going to break deep into the first corner. Back downhill. Tolanen trying to cut back himself. Oh, but he wiggles as well. Just getting too greedy on the throttle. Now he's going to be susceptible as Vanio Congas starts to close in.
Exactly. Itsu's going to be closing. He's going to poke his nose to the inside, but I think he's a little bit too far back. There's about just a car length too much of air in between those two, so not able to make that pass work. Tries to carry a little bit more speed there out of the Descida del Lago, but still nothing doing as they climb the hill.
We've only just passed the halfway mark of this race as well, and we are up to 2 DNFs. Something happened to Joe Walker. I'm not entirely sure what. We'll have to go back and investigate that in a little bit to see why we lost the 23 machine. Meanwhile, eyes have been firmly transfixed here. The battle for what is now 4th place. Briefly, it was for 3rd. Might become for 5th because I'm seeing that Juan Costa repeatedly finds himself getting away from Jukka Tolanen.
Yeah, indeed. Wanmi just putting in some really good laps there. He was a little bit slower on the previous lap, but he's just kind of able to eke himself out. And the more air he can put between himself and that orange and white number 5 machine, the better he's going to feel. Marco Kayla there, I think, seeing a little bit of red under his helmet. That's the fastest lap of the race thus far.
Yeah, now that he's in that free air, we got to go back to Karthik Pai because Suarez just got past him, but Karthik's fighting back down the front stretch, and he might bring along Loic Barba. Barba looking around the outside, coming into the first corner, locks up the brakes, and down into the turn. It'll go back to Karthik Pai despite losing the position. Suarez is not done with him yet.
No, Suarez got a great run out of the second part of the Senna S and through the Curva del Sol. He's going to tuck up behind in the draft. Pai going very, very defensive. They're going to go down into the Descida del Lago. Pai late on the brakes. That's a little bit of a look for the crossover move there from Pablo Suarez, but able to be held at bay by Karthik Pai, who is putting on a master class in defensive driving.
This track is, I know some drivers expressed a little bit of distaste for it, but it just is fantastic with these cars. A late dive from Suarez does not produce anything despite Pai giving him space at the apex. And we have to remember that I believe these cars did race at this track in the other version, the old long version of the 70s.
I believe that's correct, Joe. And yeah, that portion of the track, obviously the run out of the Descida del Lago sort of carried on a little bit more. It was just a longer, even windier track, as it were. Jumping back to ride on board here with Loic Barba. The one thing I did notice is I was keeping an eye on Karthik Pai on that last lap, going into the braking zone on to Esse. Looked like that car twitched a little bit under braking, so he may be a little bit unstable in that middle sector. That may be something that Suarez could want to exploit. Not going to go for the move here going down through the Senna S, but at least going to try to keep the pressure on that 13.
Yeah, starting to be joined as well by Seiwertz there in the 11. So becoming a 4-car fight, a little bit farther down from what we've been witnessing before. Oh, and another late dive. Suarez really likes to make that move, but I'm getting the sense that Karthik has become wise to it. The Texan has not been scared enough off the line to at least give it away. He does give a little space each time.
Yeah, I think he knows where and when to attack. There it was the time for Pablo Suarez to get a little bit twitchy as they made their way down into Esse. Now they come down here through Perejeño. Everybody very, very close. This is the part of the track where Suarez just needs to try to maximize his exits to be as close behind that 13 as possible by the time they exit the junction.
Yep, coming up to that junction right now and up the hill, needing every grunt that this Ford Cosworth can give them. And it looks like, I think, Suarez might have another shot at things. He's going to have a good slipstream. You can see him approaching the yellow number 13 of Karthik Pai. He gets within about 2 car lengths, but he runs out of straightaway now that they have to hit the binders. Oh, no, he does not. He's got to hit the binders way later than his rival, and once again, giving that space pays dividends for Karthik Pai because he avoids an incident as behind them. Seiwertz spins into the barrier.
That pretty spectacular spin there from Seiwertz. You can see him. Oh, that car is very, very heavily damaged. A lot of crabbing on it. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Shane here with this. A little bit of a lock up there from in front of him. Comes down. Oh, he caught the curb.
Just tried to cut it a little too much. This car rides low, and as flat as these curbs are for modern F1 cars, not flat enough for vintage ones, apparently.
No, and really what that is the ground effect being broken underneath the car. Remember, there are side skirts that come down on the side of the car to trap air underneath it, to create a vacuum underneath the car to pull it down into the track. And riding over the curb like that, what it does is it breaks that seal underneath the car, and that means there is far, far less grip than you thought originally available. And just remember, you'll be able to see this effect next year in Formula One as ground effects makes its return.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that'll play out. Thankfully, it's a lot safer now, so they can at least have those and not worry about the safety of the drivers quite so much. If you ever wonder why they were banned, go back and watch reviews of the 1982 season, where it finally kind of came to a head that the ground effects were just a little bit too scary. And Loic Barba currently sitting back here in 13th place, sitting behind Suarez and Pai. Pai now defending, and Suarez going to try for the undercut, but it's not quite there.
No, not quite there to get on it. Gets a pretty good run, though, coming out. We've seen some aggressive moves from Suarez trying to come down here through that sweeping right-hander. Both cars lining it up. Suarez likes to just kind of mess with Karthik Pai there, going down into SA, I think, just trying to see if he can get it, but he's got to be really careful. Loic Barba behind him looking very aggressive.
Yeah, but the aggressive defense from Karthik Pai is showing he's had enough of this. He's not leaving the door open anymore for that grab-em machine. And Partonen just set the fastest lap of the race, so he's making sure that Kayla is not able to track him down. In fact, that gap is stated about 4.3 seconds. But look at this gap coming down to almost nothing. Suarez was a lot farther back than this before when he made an attempt. I gotta think that he's going to try it this time, but which side will he be forced to go on? Looks like the outside, just covering the middle of the road. Karthik Pai making him choose a difficult choice, and, well, it's not going to be successful either way.
It's not, but let's see how this plays out. There's some good speed there from Loic Barba behind. It also does look like Suarez is going to be able to tuck up behind in the draft. 1, 2, 3. These cars make their way down. Late move there from Suarez. A deep, deep dive. Sends it down late, but Karthik Pai recognizes it, able to get the crossover back down to the inside. But they're going to be side by side coming up out of the seat of Interlagos, and Pai's going to hold on to that position.
Wow, so Loic Barba behind them, finding chances here and there, but not able to pick it up as well. And they're joined by a different friend, so now they're going to have Schwaber in the 15 start to catch up to them. Let's take another look at this.
Yeah, this is on board with Suarez. Wow, you can't get later on the brakes than that with a move. And then you can see that slide around there of just how quick Karthik Pai was able to see it, think about it, dive to the inside, and make it work.
And, here we go again. This time, having to go around the outside early. Is it way too early? And he's going to switch back into the slipstream. Going to get another bite of it. He needs that extra speed to pull him up. The door is open just enough that he's going to put his nose in. Pai, can he hold him back yet again as they go wheel to wheel down through the Senna S? He'll be pinched to the inside, and it looks like, oh no, some ghost contact sends Karthik out into the Armco.
Oh, so sad to see what was an excellent battle there end in tears for Karthik Pai. I fear that angry ghost called Netcode may have been involved in that, as it looked like there may have been a little bit of daylight in between the two, Joe.
Yeah, there was from my angle as we watch on board here for a moment now coming off. Yeah, just the second apex. There was definitely enough space, and Pai was doing such a good job all race long of leaving it there for him. And unfortunately, when you race that close between, where is Suarez hailing from? I know Pai, it looks like he's racing in Texas. Yeah, definitely space between them. Suarez racing in Club Iberia. So yeah, when you race from across an ocean, unfortunately, those are the dangers of sim racing.
Yeah, it's what can happen. Ooh, riding on board with Severi Seppi here, as that's Venio Kokas and Timothy Reed in a nice little battle there, and Severi Seppi's about ready to try to pick up the pieces, has to check himself up coming around the Curva del Sol, but he's going to be alongside the number 8 as they slide it down the Retro Posta.
What's happened to Timothy Reed? He was much farther up before. I'm trying to check and see, and I don't see major incidents yet. Did he get some damage at some point over a curb or something?
It looks like, Joe, he had a big slide coming through Perejeño, and that lost him some time, about 2 seconds off on the previous lap. So I think maybe just overcooking the tires a little bit, over-driving the car, getting into his head a little bit maybe.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet, that these cars, their setups are usually susceptible. There's a little wiggle as well from Freesia, susceptible to changes in handling over the course of a race.
Yeah, they are, and it's for a couple of reasons, and primarily of which is because we do not take pit stops here in this series, the car gets lighter as the race goes along. That means that the car's going to be a little bit slippery, or it's going to be a little bit looser. That rear end's going to want to step out on you, and the ground effect that we talked about earlier is not going to be nearly as effective because there's not as much weight being pushed down onto the car, so there's not as much suction underneath the car. Drivers got to be careful about that. Ooh, that was Severi Seppi, though, getting a little bit friendly with those inside curbings. That's going to set up a whole chain reaction behind him.
Reed has got to be lacking straight line speed or something here, as Freesia is going to try and overtake down into the lake descent. They're going to go wheel to wheel, and Reed around the outside just doesn't have anything underneath him. Ove Trangrade will be the next one to challenge. So Reed, who rode in third place for the majority of this race, might actually fall out of the top 10 depending on what happens after Trangrade.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm having a look right now at Timothy Reed's car, and there is indeed some undercarriage damage to that number 8 machine. He has damaged the floor of the car, and as we said, that is so crucial here, so he is definitely suffering, and I think is a large part as a result of that.
That was one of the more frustrating aspects of racing open wheelers, that under tray damage. Is the underside of the car hurt? If so, well, it'll be sort of invisible pain. And as we watch from Marco Kayla now, or no, excuse me, we watch from Trangrade. Kayla setting the fastest lap, confusing my graphics here. Ove Trangrade not quick enough this time to try and pass Timothy. Reed, oh, this doesn't look good though. He was very slow coming through the Senna S.
Yeah, very slow indeed. And is that going to set up an opportunity for Trangrade behind? We know he likes to trim out that car sometimes, but not there. It looks like Reed's going to be able to hold it off. If he is experiencing that under tray damage, he will most heavily feel it through this middle sector. He should be relatively okay in a straight line, but once they get to the twisty bits, that's where he'll lose some time. Getting close to the back of Gernot Prix there. Almost getting a little aggressive.
Yeah, I thought maybe he could have a pass or something. Oh, well, all three of them pretty much squirming on the throttle there out of Esse. And we come back to our leader, Pauli Partanen, now 5 seconds ahead of Marco Kayla. Now that he's broken that draft, it seems like he has not been worried about that number 2 car. It seems like he's got better pace overall, even if just slightly marginal. But can Trangrade use what seems like better pace over Timothy Reed? He's going to have a very good slipstream now. And they go past the Subidos dos boxes up towards the braking into the Senna S. No. I wonder if Trangrade has gone the opposite of what we're used to, and he's got more downforce on that car because he just goes nowhere behind the 8 car.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Joe. It just really looked like that he was stalling out coming down that main straightaway. Reed, though, gets a good run coming out of the Curva del Sol. Tries to maybe think about a little bit of a look on Gernot Freesia, but Freesia able to park that car in the middle of the track, prevent anything from happening to him. Oh, that was a little bit of a weird wiggle coming off of the line there for Timothy Reed. Here comes Ove Trangrade to what will be the inside if he can hold it.
just about has it there. It's a series of right-handers, oh, but he starts to slip. The wheels do not want to grip, and Reed will live to fight another day. Now, we had look at this. I love the sportsmanship in this series. Barber and Suarez just had contact about a lap ago, and Suarez either slowed up or maybe he's got damage potentially, but he gave the spot back to the 3 car. So Barber back in the 13th now.
Yeah, it's one of the things that does make this series so great. You can see the results of that damage, specifically on Barber's car. Some damage to that left front wing, bent up a little bit, so that's going to hurt him a good amount. But Suarez doing the heads-up thing, letting him by. All right, here they come again down on the main straightaway. This is that 3-way battle with Freisha, Reed, and Trangrade going down now into turn 1. Trangrade looking very, very threatening, but it looked like it ebbed and flowed there. Reed got a better middle of the corner, but I think Trangrade got a better exit.
Indeed, there was another wiggle out of the 8 machine. He's going to defend all the way to the inside. No, maybe he's trying to follow the slipstream, because that was Freisha as well, who was cutting down to the bottom of the track, and Trangrade still unable to capitalize. But this potential difference in setup philosophy has been a big boon to Timothy Reed. I thought he was just going to continue to plummet down the order, but he's managed to at least prop himself up in this 8th position for a little bit.
Yeah, it's really an impressive drive. And Joe, I can tell you, when you pick up that under tray damage, it is just absolutely harrowing. You're always worried that the car is going to unexpectedly step out on you, snap coming around the corner. Oh,
like that. Just like that. Reed finds himself spinning out of Magrulo and falls to 10th place. Just maybe a little too much on the tires over time. And that, I mean, he didn't touch the grass. He didn't really send it in aggressively. That car just looks like it had run out of stuff.
Indeed, and I do take partial responsibility for that. The commentator's curse being strong with me here this morning. But yeah, we watch on board with Trangrade. Watch him as he just throws it into the corner. No curb, just, it's that slow, lazy spin that we talk about sometimes, Joe, where you feel the rear end just letting go. There's nothing you can do about it.
Severi Seppa, in the meantime, still running in 6th place, up 1 position. I'm curious to know what has happened to the Finn in recent races, that his pace just doesn't seem to be there. Brandport, Mosport, didn't have a great finish at Bathurst. Hungaroring, he raced back up to a 2nd place finish, but he didn't seem to really have good pace there either. And I believe, yeah, he qualified very poorly and took the fastest lap during the race and eventually climbs up onto the podium. Ooh, as he lets the tail hang out coming out of the junction. 4 laps to go. And right now that is being led by Howley Partanen here, the Finn. How far back? Let's see. I don't think this is going to give him the points lead. I'm double checking the situation on that.
I'm not sure if it will or not, Joe, but Pauly just putting in a good lap here. You can see him just growing that gap ever so slightly. A little bit of an ebb and flow there with Marco Kayla as he comes around now. I'm also looking at the relatives around him. He'll have a little bit of lap traffic to contend with. He was just able to get by 21st place machine of Seawards there. Looks like next up the road is going to be Keith Herner. But all the drivers here pretty respectful when those blue flags come out.
So here's where it gets interesting. Kayla got the 2-point bonus for pole, and Kayla also holds the 2-point bonus for the fastest lap right now. So he'll score 54 points. And Partanen will get 56. So it's only going to be a 2-point swing, and they came in 7 points apart from one another. And that means it's going to be minimal inroads on trying to chase him down in the championship. And that's before drop weeks as well. So we come back with Seppa once again. He's the one that's going to lose out the most. In fact, I'm pretty sure that he's going to lose second in the championship to Partanen after this victory.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain he will as well. Ooh, a little bit of a a change there in those point standings as Marco Kayla says not so fast and sets the fastest lap of the race with the 23.2. Now that is pretty common as the car does get looser. As we've talked about, it lightens up. It does go faster over the course of the race. And so you will see these lap times continue to fall if the drivers are pushing a little bit.
Yeah, Partonen had that fastest lap for about 6 seconds, and then Kayla taking it right back. The difference between them that last lap, 0.03 of a second. This is going to be a close one, and considering how tight the points battle is, I have a feeling that battle for fastest lap could actually be critical to how this story resolves itself. On board with Seppa looking over his shoulder up at Eetu Vainio-Kangas. The Finns have taken 5 out of the top 6 spots in this race right now.
Yeah, Joe, we've been obviously covering the Lotus 79 series for a number of years, and the Finnish invasion.
Oh, something happened to Partonen. Partonen is stopped on the exit of the junction. What happened?
Joe, he blew his engine. He blew his engine.
My goodness. It's one of the few cars on iRacing that still has the H-pattern shifter. And I'm guessing maybe downshifting too quickly here.
Bam, there. Over-revved it, just over-revved it. I wonder if he maybe grabbed the wrong gear with that, and I was watching it, car just absolutely let go. Oh my goodness.
All that math I was doing, throw that out the window. Marco Kayla is going to get a huge boost now. Seppa is still sitting down in 5th. He's going to lose points to our championship leader. And now it's going to be very minimal points for Partonen, who's probably going to wind up, looks like 21st when this is done. Actually, maybe a little higher than that because a few drivers have gone multiple laps down. So Partonen, with his expiration about 3 laps to go, is a little lucky that it did happen so late, but it's still going to be emotionally just gutting.
And Joe, I have been in that position in this machine before. You just come down through the gears a little bit too much. I don't have an H pattern on my setup. I do it with just the clutch and paddle shifters. And when you do that, sometimes you just kind of forget what gear you're in and bring it down 1 extra gear. And you just hear that nasty over-rev noise and go, oh, please don't, please don't, please don't. And inevitably, pop, it does. But we jump back here. This is Seppa trying to make, Koka's trying to make the move there on Jukka Tolvanen around to the outside. Tolvanen trying to put up a good fight here, looking for a little bit of a crossover down through the Curva del Sol.
And Seppa's watching on with interest. Could he snatch both of them up back to the inside? Tolvanen finds the gap. They're going to break a big hole in the air for Seppa. Does he dare make it 3 wide? No. He's going to stay patient. Long way around for Eetu. And he fends off Tolvanen. Tolvanen keeps his wheel in it. Has to try and struggle to hold control of the car out of the descent to Lago. The long way around as they almost make contact once again and still bobbles as he avoids coming together with Vainio-Kangas, who sends it in deep into Esse. And Eetu is going to take 3rd as Tolvanen settles for 4th.
I am absolutely amazed that that did not come to blows there, Joe. Just incredible wheel-to-wheel driving. Everybody keeping it the right way. And a very, very aggressive move from Eetu. But here comes Severi Seppa pushing that car to its limits. They're getting ready to take the white flag as they cross the line.
No, we are on the white flag. This is Marco Kayla taking the victory now. The number 2 gets yet another win, his 3rd of the season. Juan Costa follows him home for 2nd, and Vainio-Kangas with a late race move gets 3rd.
Oh my goodness gracious, Joe, you could not have asked for a more dramatic finish to the race there. Looks like Ove Trangerade able to cross the line there over in 7th. This is one of the battles that's still raging a little bit in the back. This is Daniel Banker trying to... Wow, Suarez losing it even on the track, buddy.
Doesn't hit anything, and behind him, Loic Barba says, well, thank you very much. I'll get that spot back once again. And Barba is going to finish in 12th as Suarez recovers to a 13th. 16 of our drivers will finish on the lead lap here today. And only, I believe, about 19 of them saw the checkered flag. In the end, Partonen winds up with 20th. But that's going to send us to break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
I said at the start of this broadcast that Interlagos might just give us more twists and turns to this story, and boy did it. Marco Kayla gets another win after having to miss last week and puts himself well clear once again of his rivals. Juan Costa, though, keeps things at least a little bit tight as he's been there and thereabouts in the championship. He takes the second place today. Vanio Congas went from 10th to 3rd and was not going to be denied on that last lap, getting himself into the podium. Jukka Tolinen, he was in many of the fights that we were witnessing today, but he was only able to get 4th. Just couldn't seem to get the passes done. Still gained some along the way. Severi Seppa only able to do 5th as Gernot Friesche was P6. Ove Trangrade, another one that looked very stuck as he fell backwards from the start, 4th down to 7th. Christophe Dubois finished P8, and poor Timothy Reed just had an ill-handling car that gave him 9th place. Wonder if some of that was from the damage he had at the start. Willie Schwalber was 10th in the end.
Daniel Banker was 11th, followed by Loic Barba. Loic able to get by on that last lap, courtesy of the little bobble from Pablo Suarez. Barry West came home in 14th, followed by Javier Mosquera, with Jean-Francois Vasquez in 16th and Keith Herner in 17th. Herner, the first, a lap down. Benoit Daisy was 18th, followed by Daniel Gallus in 19th. And your leader for most of the race, Paulie Partonen, came home in 20th, courtesy of that blown engine.
You see our DNFs after that, drivers that sadly didn't get to the finish. But one who did was A2 Vanio Congas. A2, fantastic running out there. And man, what a battle at the end, and all for a podium. How are you feeling?
Speechless, really. Couldn't imagine this kind of result after the 10-lap training I did before the race.
Oh, well, wow, that makes it even more impressive that you came in with so little experience, especially being stuck in that train that we had for much of the race. You saw a lot of battles just kind of bubbling up. Were you getting nervous at all in that group racing so close for so long, or did you feel relatively comfortable?
I was quite comfortable because I just waited things to happen in front of me and tried to gain from that, and that paid out, really.
It absolutely did. So, well, it feels like it's been a bit since we've seen you around here in the Sunday Grand Prix series. Do you think we'll have you returning for the remainder of this season 4?
We'll see. This was fun. Once again, Lotus is the most fun car on iRacing, but haven't had time to race on Sundays lately, but hopefully in the future.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Again, congratulations on a podium, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Eetu Vaniokangas, followed home in 4th place by Jukka Tolinen. DJ has caught up with our other Finn, and let's see what he felt about being in the midst of that train.
Indeed, Jukka, it looked like you had your hands full that entire race, just one way this way, one way that way. But what was it like behind the cockpit?
Well, it was a long afternoon. It was almost impossible to pass, and Juami was defending very good. So, yeah, it was hard, and I was using my tires quite much. So I haven't ever seen that much or that low tire condition after the race. It was only 40-something % left after the race. So in the end, why my car was sliding very much and didn't want to turn, and it made it really hard. And then I don't know what I was thinking when I gave Eetu that inside line in the first corner, but yeah, that was nice move from Eetu and deserved podium. So yeah, but it was fun.
When you're racing like that in a constant battle where you've got guys on either side of it, normally we don't kind of see that constant stuff in this series. Does that change at all your mentality or your driving style? Are you a little bit more on edge? Are you watching out a little bit more? Or is it pretty much business as usual, just looking for maybe an advantage here or there?
Yeah, well, I'll try to avoid 3 wides. But yeah, it depends on many things. I was feeling like I would have more pace in the beginning if I could have passed Juami, so I was trying that quite aggressively. But then in the end, I didn't find a gap where to go, so I settled for a moment, and I was wanting to also catch Timothy. So, and that actually happened. So that was good tactic, I guess. But yeah.
Well, we head from one of the I guess more historic venues on the current Formula One grid to one of the newer ones next time out at COTA. How do you think these cars are going to handle around there? That seems like an interesting combination.
Which track was it again? I was thinking
Circuit of the Americas.
I was thinking it would be actually Lime Rock Park, but I'm not sure. COTA is fun anyway. Lime Rock Park is a new one for me. So yeah, let's see.
All right, well, we'll see indeed, Jukka. Anybody you want to thank for your run here today?
Well, I feel bad for Pauli. He was going to win that race easily, I guess. So I feel really bad for him. And we were again practicing with Pauli all the week. So yeah.
Well, I got you. Thank you so much for talking to us, and congrats on a good 4th place run. That was Jukka Tolinen, your 4th place finisher here today. And now Joe Peak has caught up with today's winner, Marco Kayla.
Yeah, Marco, this had to have been a roller coaster of emotions for you out there, because you were fighting so hard, and then suddenly a little slip up cost you, and it seemed like you weren't catching, and then it fell back in your lap. I mean, describe what you were experiencing throughout the course of this thing.
Well, we have a good fight. The race before this one was also good. We had like a half a second gap in the end of the race, but I don't know what happened. I made so much mistakes. Car felt very slippery, but I felt bad for Pauli for downshifting too hardly.
Yeah, it's you always have at least some sympathy for a fellow driver, because we've all experienced that sort of emotion of seeing the race fall out of your hands after it looked so firmly in your grip, but you also still get the victory out of it, and it's your third of the season. With only having missed one race so far, you've got plenty of drop points in your pocket. Are you feeling confident now heading out of round 8?
Well, it depends on the track. This track suits me very well. It's very easy to drive for me, so it depends. I hope so it's going well the rest of the season, but we'll see.
Well, the next one probably going to be a bit chaotic, as we have confirmed it is Lime Rock Park up for the next round. Does that make you at all nervous? Do you feel like there's anything you can do to try and make yourself extra safe there?
I don't think so. There's lapped cars would be a problem, but I don't think there's other problems going to be. It's always good racing on the top guys.
Yeah, the series does have a lot of skilled and patient drivers, that is for sure. Congratulations on the win. Is there anybody you want to thank that helped make this victory possible?
Always for you guys and tech community who makes the setups, and if there's no setups, I wouldn't race. So all for the community.
Yeah, I think that is definitely worth mentioning here, as that was Mark O'Kala, our victor, and giving a nod to just how many people go into helping ensure everybody can have a good time here without having to worry too much about what is already a tricky car. But we are going to close out with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community as well for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And also check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. There's a link down in the description below if you want to check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we said, next race is Lime Rock Park, Sunday, November 14th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. And if you aren't ready to hop over to it right now, we have the majors, the European majors, Indy Japan 300 happening, and then we have the brand new return, of course, of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge up next. That'll kick off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern today. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.